this time, I would like to ask Pamela Ross, class of 1973, to introduce Lizanne Fontaine, class of 1973, her classmate, friend, and varsity field hockey player at Staten Island Academy, a woman who I personally think about often after her commencement speech when I just have 15 minutes. Thank you. Pamela?
It is my privilege this afternoon to introduce Anne Elizabeth Fontaine, aka Lizanne, for induction into the Staten Island Academy Hall of Fame. Lizanne started Staten Island Academy in Miss Torres's 6th grade class, which is where our 50-year friendship originated. If Lizanne's quotation on her senior yearbook page is any indication, and I will paraphrase, happiness will come and sit softly on your shoulder if you turn your attention to other things. Then Lizanne must have led a particularly happy life. During her lifetime, Lizanne has turned her attention not only to many things, but varied and meaningful endeavors. Lizanne's achievements have been a perfect blend of family, career, and philanthropy. She graduated from Dartmouth and went on to study at New York University Law School. Her law career was varied, including trial and contract law. 21 years, Lizanne's quest for a new horizon took her back to New York University, where she earned her nursing degree. A combination of degrees in hand, Lizanne worked as counsel to the chief physician for the city's Department of Education. She then returned to New York University, where she started a community health program with a mobile health clinic serving underserved communities and international high schools in Brooklyn as its centerpiece. Lizanne took on a clinical role as the nurse aboard the clinical mobile unit for 4 years, after which she spent 9 years as Director of Health Services at Care for the Homeless. Presently, Lizanne is legal counsel at VIP Community Services, which treats opioid addictions and provides vocational training. Somewhere woven into her exotic career path, Lizanne married Bob Buchholz and found time for 5 children, including a set of triplets. Now they have progressed to the next generation and are enjoying their 4 grandchildren. Somehow Lizanne found days with more than 24 hours in, because between her education, her varied careers, and raising her family, she found time to devote herself to philanthropic activities. These include serving on the boards of the Brooklyn Museum and St. Anne's School. She is currently the chair of the Board of Trustees of the Brooklyn Hospital Center. She is a trustee of the Rita and Alex Hillman Foundation, a longtime member of BRIC, which 6 years she chaired the construction of its new home in downtown Brooklyn Cultural District. Thank you, Lizanne, for all you do to make this a better world, and thank you for our lifelong friendship.
What the heck? What song is that? Oh, baby. Oh, baby, he released that program? Yeah. Well, I feel terrible about him. Because he can be an amazing composer. Oh, he's amazing. Yeah. Do you ever hear Suicide Note? Thank you. If I can just remind everyone, I know it's hard to just mute your mics. That would be greatly appreciated. Sorry, Lizanne.
No, that reminds me to unmute. Before I get started, I just want to say to Sarah Kate, kissing 50 sounds great to me. But more formally, Headmaster Cowth, faculty administrators, alumni, and students, thank you. And special thanks to Pam Ross for that kind introduction. I started at SIA, as she said, in the 6th grade, and And from that grade until I graduated, I was driven to school every morning by either her aunt, Shirley Carstang, and then when she got her license, by Pam herself. It was a great way to start a new school, a great way to start what exceeded 1,200 school days, and a great way to cement a lifelong friendship. SIA was a great place to coax a shy, somewhat bookish girl out of herself a bit, to connect with what the school and its students could teach me. I had exceptionally good teachers in Warren Whiteman, John Langton, and Howard O'Clair, to name only three. Another of my English teachers, Peter Cowan, also directed the school plays and encouraged me to try out, something I ended up loving. Pam persuaded me to try out for basketball. I had height and absolutely no talent, unlike this morning's other inductees, but I loved being part of a team, and the talent was well supplied by Pam and my other teammates. What I learned from my schoolmates collectively was to maximize our time at the school, from the classroom to the playing fields to the art garage to the upper floors of the then Stettinius building, where the school newspaper and yearbook clubs were housed, to the auditorium, to just hanging out and talking with teachers, schoolmates, and staff. I watched the example set by my classmates who pursued early interests and plans, and years later was thrilled to witness my classmate, an earlier inductee into the Hall of Fame, Luis Moreno, being sworn in as the United States Ambassador to Jamaica. My time at SIA was but a part of my childhood on Staten Island, which, like the school, provided both a comforting and instructive place to grow and learn. My parents, who hailed from the Midwest, moved to Staten Island in 1956, and the terrain must have seemed somewhat familiar, since it was then home to a dozen dairy farms. That was all to change, and as a child, I remember my parents taking my sister Amy, also an SIA alumna, and me to Fort Wadsworth to watch the construction of the Verrazano Narrows Bridge. When it opened in 1964, it seemed like the physical manifestation of a connection to the bigger world. But the island itself, our friends, neighbors, and fellow residents had plenty to teach me. I saw how they got involved, looked out for one another, and made good things happen. Pam's aunt, in addition to being my school chauffeur, was a dental hygienist at different sites, including the Mount Loretta Orphanage. She took Pam and me there on days off from school, and I found that experience fascinating and sobering. My next-door neighbor, Portia Diamond, founded the Staten Island Children's Museum. My mother and her friends helped start the Children's Theater Society. After my tonsils were out and I was home recuperating, I had an in-home follow-up visit by my pediatrician, Dr. Albert Patrick, whose name graces the Commons at SIA. He made other house calls too. I remember him coming into our house with his big leather bag and big booming voice. Years later, when I did my rotation in community nursing and made house calls in Upper Manhattan, I thought of those made by Dr. Patrick. After the bridge we watched rise was completed, the growth on the island threatened one of the last swaths of nature, the Greenbelt. I saw how a small and then larger band of volunteers saved it from Robert Moses's plan to put a highway through it, with petitions, speeches, and what seemed like a child to be endless marches through the woods on rainy Saturday mornings. Honestly, I didn't love those wet walks, but I've long appreciated the early example of civic engagement and advocacy. And when the publisher of the Staten Island Advance, Richard Diamond, another member of the SIA Hall of Fame, started the Women of Achievement Annual Award, I pored over those descriptions of the awardees in the newspaper and how their volunteer efforts had bettered life on the island. In closing, I'm grateful to Staten Island and Staten Island Academy for what they taught me, grateful to my classmates, teachers, neighbors, friends, and island residents for the examples they set, and grateful for this award. And I'm delighted to be in the Zoom company of this morning's other amazing inductees. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Pamela, and congratulations, Lizanne, on being a 2020 Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame inductee.